Well, I have seen a whole lot of guys on the fly fishing forums that are just getting into fly fishing, and they're wanting to learn about the right equipment to get. And I thought we should do a few videos and start out with the basics, like the fishing rod and the type of action and length and things like that, that may help you make that decision better. Welcome to the show. My name's Alex Guthrie. Welcome to my channel, I should say. I'm used to doing a radio show. And this is Fly Fish Fork, flyfishfork.com. And you're so glad that you're here, glad that you're watching this, and I hope it does you some good. If it does, if you enjoy it, hit the subscribe button and like us and share us and do all that good thing. We're just getting started, and the season's coming up, so we'll have hopefully a whole lot more videos to do. So let's get started here. I'm going to do this share screen, and I want to put we're going to put a picture of a graph of these fly rods. So let's talk about what fly rod action is. Action is the amount of resistance that fly rod has when something's pulling on it. Now, guys, I'm not a real technical person. I'm not I've built fishing rods, but I'm not a technically guy. I'm just a fisherman like you. So my technical language isn't going to be very sophisticated. As you can see from this picture, though, you have a slow, moderate, fast, extra fast. Now, I've never fished with an extra fast. That would be pretty much like a broomstick, I think. So slow is a very, very flexible rod. And if you're fishing just small streams for smaller fish, maybe even brim fishing, you could try that slow. It would be very limber. And so if you got something bigger on it, it may be a little difficult for you to handle, particularly when you're first getting started. So that may not be, well, I'm not going to say that's not the right one to pick. I'm just going to say that's what it is. And so that would be a really small, like a one weight or two weight or something like that. It'd be a really lightweight presentation for smaller fish. The most common and the easiest for you to start out with, particularly when you're just learning to cast a fly rod, is the moderate. And the moderate speed is real flexible in the size of the flies. Now, a lot of the decision making here is going to be, what are you fishing for? And that has to do with the size of the flies that you're going to be throwing. And so a moderate will cover a good streamer, which you would use maybe for bass. And it would actually go all the way down to nymph fishing if you're nymphing for trout in a stream. So a moderate is a real good middle of the road rod, and it's easy to cast. It's a lot easier. Now, I fish for large game fish. I fish for black bass here in Texas, and on the coast, I fish for redfish with my fly rod. And so I have a fast action. All my rods are fast action. And the reason for that, the reason I decided initially to use fast action was because I'm throwing some big, heavy flies, and we're fishing from a boat. And so we're on a flat platform. We're fishing flat water. So we have to get some distance, and we're going to use larger flies for these larger fish. So that fast action tends to work a whole lot better, particularly with experienced casters, but even people that aren't experienced seem to get along with these rods pretty good. Now, again, when you're just getting started, you're not used to there's a little more work involved with that fast action. And that moderate action is probably what you ought to start with for sure. But you can see by this chart where the bending part of this rod is, and that's where it stiffens up. And so fit on the slow, it goes about halfway down the rod. It really kind of, on a lot of them, will start closer to the handle, although I don't think that's possible. It could go to the handle, but the moderate is about 30%. Now, when they use these percentages, it's coming from the tip down. So about 30% of the length of the rod from the tip down is where you're going to get your action. On the fast, it's 25. So inches wise, I would say that I always think that on a fast action rod, a 9-foot rod is what I fish with. That would be about 15 or 20 inches of that top section. That top section of rod is where your action is. And the moderate, it just depends on the length of the rod, but again, about 30% down, about a third of the way down. And on the slow rod, about halfway down. Now that is a little subjective because different rods, different lengths, things like that can affect that. Now, I've never fished with an extra fast rod. That looks like you could pull in a whale with that thing. And so this is the action. And so what you need to do is if you're just starting out, my recommendation is that you go with a moderate action rod. That'll really help you get through your casting, learning that learning curve in casting and controlling that line and getting it out as far as you can get it out, because length matters. And so if you're fishing streams, you might want to have an 8-foot or a 8.5-foot rod. If you're not going to fish somewhere that you need distance and there's a lot of brush around you and things like that, that shorter rod would probably work really good for you. And you'll have to learn some casting methods, some roll casting and things like that, but that can be a really good length for you. For the distance and the power that I need for my bigger fish, I use a 9-foot rod. It's the most comfortable for what we're doing. But I'm not in a bunch of brush and tight areas like you are on a stream. And so that'll be the best thing for you if you're going to fish the flats out in the ocean and you're wading, or if you're fishing off a boat, that 9-foot length might be real good for you to do. So that I wanted to get this information out to you, because I know that this is one part of the decision process. The other thing I want to tell you about rods is graphite is definitely the best. I know a lot of guys like the glass rods, and there's nothing wrong with them. And of course, bamboo is, if you're just like an expert, bamboo can break. And so I would go with a graphite rod. And if it's my first rod, I would go to one of the big stores, Bass Pro or somewhere, and I would get a moderately priced rod. Don't go and dump hundreds of dollars into a rod until you've gone through the process of knowing how much you're going to use it, and if you're going to be able to pick this up. Fly fishing is a very it's something you have to work at for basically a lifetime, but we work at it for a lifetime because we love doing it forever. And so get that moderate rod. Don't spend a ton of money on it. Test it out if you can at the store. There's also some places, and I don't know if Bass Pro still does it, they used to, where you could they'll rig one up for you. You can go out in the parking lot and test it and see if it feels comfortable to you. And so that's my advice to you when you're first getting set up. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helps. And our next video, we're going to talk about reels. Have a wonderful day. Remember to subscribe, and hope to see you on the channel. Let me get here. Stop share. Okay, there I am. I've got my glasses on. Hope to see you on the channel. I hope that you'll subscribe to us, become part of the family here, and we'll have some more videos for you as time goes on. Thanks a lot. This is Alex Guthrie. My company is Flyfish Fork. We're at Lake Fork in Texas. It's flyfishfork.com, 469-446-8508. Give me a call and have a great weekend.